What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about the first big expansion for Starfield because it dropped today, and this is a very expensive piece of downloadable content. This is a single planet that costs $30, so I was curious to see how actually good it is. I know I've kind of gained a reputation as the world's most famous Starfield hater because I really did not enjoy it at launch. I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because I just felt like Starfield, when it dropped in 2023, had boring main story, it had very lackluster moments, and just honestly, the worst part was the procedurally generated planets. So many hundreds and hundreds of empty worlds was so incredibly freaking boring. So with Shattered Space, they took a different direction. It's one planet that is completely handcrafted. It's got a new storyline that's not connected to the rest of the hijinks, and to be honest, after having completely beaten it today, it's pretty good. I mean, I got to admit, it's pretty good. But let's talk about what's great and what still is kind of busted about Starfield as it currently exists. I hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I do want to begin with a big warning that you're probably going to notice, which is that this game still runs incredibly bad. All of this gameplay was personally captured on my Xbox Series X, and yeah, lots of frame drops, lots of very inconsistent pop-in, lots of texture issues. But even beyond that, it gets way worse because they've added in a vehicle with a recent patch called the Rev 8. Being able to drive around and use jump jets and stuff like that is good, but for some reason, the faster you go, the more the technical problems arise. That's actually my biggest complaint about this game. We're going to have a bunch of positives, but for whatever reason, this game, even though it does have a 60 FPS mode, it is incredibly inconsistent, and frankly, I still have run into a lot of glitches. I kept having the weird glitch where my character would just not be able to move, and I could not do anything. I would literally be paralyzed in place. But okay, glitches aside, what is Shattered Space actually about? This is a new expansion where we're going to find this basically lost cult. These people that are the House of Veyron. They're people that have been experimenting with the warp and the void. And by doing these tests and experiments to what they think their god would desire, they've accidentally shattered space. They've broken a weird anomaly open, and now creatures are popping out. So the best part about this right away, the part of this that I think definitely works the best out of everything in this expansion is the fact that we finally have actual aliens to fight. It was so annoying that in the entire main game of Starfield, all you ever battled against were people and robots and like turrets and stuff like that. There was nothing actually cool and mystical and special and crazy. The things you fight in this game, the developers have said they're going for like a sci-fi horror vibe comparable to something like Fear. I don't really know if they've gotten to the scary point of view, but the actual monsters we fight, they look fantastic. You don't see a ton of them. You're still mostly fighting people, which sucks. But when the horrors show up, which is what they call them, they look good. They are weird phase creatures. There's actually one of the quests, they like lock you into a cave and you have to escape while they're all just pretty much clawing up the walls. Moments like that are extremely effective because it really does feel different. Some of my favorite Bethesda games are the old school ones, of course, right? It feels weird to think it's even been so long since Skyrim came out, but across my 5 separate complete playthroughs of Skyrim, doing every main quest, every faction quest, doing all the crafting, making dragon armor and stuff like that, I really appreciated the fact that when you're playing Skyrim, everything feels like it was perfectly put in your path. Every time you accomplish something, it really feels like it is your destiny to do it. This reminds me of the best Skyrim moments, and that to me is incredibly cool. So when you stumble upon it, the way this is actually activated, you just warp in a random direction to start the DLC after you've bought it, and you find this like derelict space station where everybody is phasing. the weirdness of the warp is that it's kind of taking over people's bodies. They can't really seem to understand what's happening to them, but it's driving them mad. A lot of times they're actually teleporting around the room against their will. So when you're fighting these enemies, these phase-locked people, they look cool, they fight cool. The developers really hyped up the idea of zero-G combat, like, oh, now you're not just going to be fighting on flat land. You don't do this very much in the expansion, and it doesn't really feel that different. Like, yeah, I got to aim up a little bit more than I probably would have, but I think that in general, everything about this definitely feels better, because even when it comes to wandering around that first space station, there is a much more focused tone to it. The original main story of Starfield had this kind of vague mystery to it of figuring out who the Starborn are and what these ancient relics are, kind of cracking the code of what it is. But once you kind of do the one main twist to Starfield, it's kind of boring. Like, maybe that's just me, but it does seem like the major consensus online is that the main story of Starfield is the worst part of it. Whereas with this, the House of Veyron, they're a secluded cult. They came here to worship their god, called the Great Serpent, and they think that what will please him is these warp experiments, these testings of different Tempest techniques. And while they're doing this, they've unleashed it. But what's cool is that the people you interact with, they're not unified. The cult has these different factions to it. The city is this big mega city called Dazra. It's been halfway eaten when the explosion happened, the incident. So everybody, as you get here, is still kind of in flux. The people you're helping out, a lot of the side quests are people that are looking for loved ones or setting up trade routes or sometimes just dealing with different disputes. But I really enjoyed the fact that right at the beginning of the game, they're like, okay, we got to figure out how to shut this off or fix it or do something. We've got to get to the Citadel and stop the experiment. But in order to do that, you have to unite the houses. So House Veyron is like the big umbrella to it. But across Dazra, this mega city we get a chance to go through, there are different people in it, different sub-factions, different tinier parts of the family that all have their own different squabbles and objectives, from traitorous sons to people that are trying to escape the planet that is hyper-absolutionist. They're not trying to let anybody on the planet or away from the planet. And so I think what really works best about this is the fact that everybody is so weird. And I do mean this in a big compliment. These people have not left the planet ever. They've been isolated for generations and generations and generations. And if you've ever talked to somebody that is kind of a isolated loner type, a lot of times they are very insular in their focus. They don't know about the outside world. They don't know about the Starborn. They don't know about any of the anomalies and stuff like that. They only care about what's directly in front of them. And I like the way that everybody is written so good. Now, the developers have kind of hyped up the big plot twists and stuff. There is some plot twists, but they're pretty much what you would expect. But I will say that the main story took me 5 hours to finish, and most of it was pretty easy. I beat it at level 38. They suggest you start at about level 35. I did everything with a heavy rifle build. Now, I've beaten the main story twice, and anybody who's finished the main story of Starfield knows that you can repeat it over and over again. It sort of rewinds time each time. So I have a lot of very high-end guns, pretty much infinite money, lots of skills that make me good at killing. So while wandering around and doing quests, I really just like the fact that I could be such an outsider to it. It was cool that it did feel like, I didn't feel like the main character. It felt like I was walking into everybody else's mess and I'm trying to just shoot my way out of it. Now, you can be extremely evil in this. These people are pretty cutthroat. They're obviously a freaking cult that's basically worshiping dark void magic, for lack of a better term, and you can be super ruthless. I mean, pretty much every option, it's like, help people out or kill the village. Oh, I can get this dam and I can shut it down and steal this combobulator, or I can open the dam up and flood all the freaking, all the settlers and just kill everybody. You can be so good or so ridiculously, insanely evil in this. And that's cool to me because that's what you could do in old school Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind and freaking old school Fallout. It felt good that you could be, the hero of the people or the butcher of Bobtown. I don't think that this is for everybody. I do feel like the biggest problem with this is that it is still in Starfield. Like, not to bag on Bethesda too hard, but Starfield seemed like it flopped. I mean, it did seem like, well, people were playing it on Game Pass, and yes, you can just buy this expansion if you have it on Game Pass. It does feel like it's a bit stuck in that who's really going to come back for this, right? I guess I'm going to make this plea. I want to end this. So, if you already owned Starfield and you had a fun time beating it, even if you didn't find it as abysmally boring as I did, if you got any enjoyment out of it, I think this is going to melt your brain. It is a vastly improved project, and it actually gives me hope about what's hopefully going to be Elder Scrolls 6. This quality of writing, this quality of crafting, the fact that they actually gave us aliens to fight, this is all I wanted. Now, I do still wish that they could make this amount of handcrafted worlds. I think the biggest problem with the game is that now, even after having beaten the main story and done some side quests and stuff, I don't ever want to leave Veyron. I don't want to leave this house. I don't want to leave this planet because it's so much better than the rest of the incredibly bleak, boring solar system. I don't care about warp jumps and fast travel. I'm glad we finally have a spot in the universe that isn't 18 freaking load screens. This is all we wanted. I mean, Bethesda, I'm glad you listened to feedback and gave us what the fans desired, but it's weird it took this long to get here. The game still runs like crap if you're playing it on an Xbox Series X, which is baffling because it is still an Xbox exclusive, but someday if this comes to a console like the PlayStation 5 Pro, I'm almost maybe tempted to buy it just because this does seem promising. They seem to have hinted to the fact that this is the first of multiple expansions, which is the way it's been with other games like Fallout and everything like that. So hopefully the other stuff is this level of quality, because as it currently stands, I'm giving it a thumbs up. But what do you guys think about Starfield? Do you still ever want to play it again? Yeah, it's not the best thing ever, but hey, I'm glad we have a cool standalone planet that sucks way less than the rest of this rather empty universe. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. I'm sitting at a weird angle. The cat is asleep directly under my desk with his toe beans stuck under the wheels. I'm gonna pick him up. No, I'm not gonna pick him up. He is so asleep. I don't want to wake him up. He's literally, he put his toes under the wheels of the chair, so I'm leaned in like this. But thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.